Welcome along to another round of the X2 season. You've got an all-star cast here to take you through it as well. We will be heading through tomorrow's X1 debut, but tonight X2 is being headed up by myself, Kotkas, Joseph Black, and alongside me I've got Rio Harris. Good evening, Rio. How excited are we for this race around the Suzuka circuit?
Excited. There's a lot of opportunistic and obviously overtaking spots, so it should be a good race. And qualifying always never disappoints in Suzuka, as you love to see the drivers flick the car through the S's.
Yeah, it's the first sector that's really going to shine around this circuit. It's one of many S's. Blueprints for the rest of them. So very excited to see what is going to happen. We've got quite a few drivers already heading out on their first runs. We will just wait and see who indeed they are heading out on their first runs. Apologies, drivers, if you can hear me as well. That is not intentional. I don't know how to fix that. But yeah, these drivers heading out to the circuit for their first runs. What sort of lap times will they be looking for?
I don't really know, to be honest. I can't even remember what my own lap was. I think my own lap was a 28.0 yesterday. So I'm going to base it from last week. I'd expect Yonnet to be the one who heads it, but probably around like 27.5, 27.4, if I had to guess. I could be horribly wrong.
And so we'll go with that, shall we? We'll go with a 27. What was it? 27.
27.4, 27.5.
Fine. That sounds like about right, I reckon. But we'll have to see. These drivers very, very quick. Gone. We've got Tanasi, Harstil, Chabotarov, Icky Robbo, Bulldiver, Ultimate John, Kevin Zonneberg, and Casper all out on their outlaps, with Kevin Zonneberg just starting on his push lap. So let's with the Sauber as he heads through turn number one. Apologies for the camera angle. I don't really know what I was thinking when I decided to use that. There we go, that's absolutely fine. Heading through the first sector. Just trying to keep tight to the curb as much as you possibly can. Just still try not to allow the rear to kick out. Now out of the exit, if you've managed to make it through, it is now down the hill, braking zone where you don't want to hit that curb too hard, but you still want to take as much of it as you possibly can and as much of it as you can possibly get away with. Now up to the hairpin, early turn-in. Trying to get the power down on the exit. That is a theme around the Suzuka International Circuit. You're soon to find out. Kevin Zonneberg now heading through to the second sector on this lap. This one a much more extended one, but coming out of it pretty okay, pretty decently, riding the curbing on the exit once again. This will be his banker lap and his banker time, so we'll see what he's able to do around 130R. This could be flat out on their final push runs. It sounds as though Kevin has lifted off just a little bit to get that turn in before that final chicane, the Cassia chicane. Dylan Hummel, the first driver to set a lap time. He's in 28.2s. Kevin Zonneberg up to the line. What is the Sauber able to put in? It's a 20. Not Kevin Zonneberg to start off with. Apologies if I am cutting out, as I've just been informed of. Ultimate John heading into the 28.1s. I will try and sort out the cutting out problem. Let me know. I am on a temporary setup, so I do apologise for any tech issues for this race. I think it's a connection issue. It may well be. We will have to see. I mean, this is a good little test run for my setup. Icky Robbo goes in second, by the way, 27.5. He heads up to second place, the front row of the grid.
I think we have got a pass of Ronald coming to the end of sector 1. What can Ronald do in the Haas? He comes to the end of the first sector with a 31.6 27.64. Flick it out of Degner 2 towards the hairpin we go with Runnard now. Nicely on the brakes, flick the wheel slightly left, and then get on the power flat out on the exit. Use your use part of your overtake button down towards Spoon Curve, which you need to be absolutely sharp on the turn in to make sure you hit the apex right. Don't touch the curb too much, though. Want to put your car in a little spit of a spin. And now on the second part on the exit of Spoon Curve, down the long back straight towards the infamous 130R. You saw Alonso and Schumacher all those years ago overtake Michael Schumacher. We're watching modern day Formula 1 cars race at the same circuit into the final chicane. We go with the Haas driver, Runnard out of the final corner now, touching the grass slightly on the exit, drained the back to the line, crossing the line with what is exactly at the same time as Kevin Zunberg with a 27.555. Nelu goes 0.024 behind the front three, and we see Paul Diver starting another lap.
How
now
often
we're
do you
watching
see
the two
that,
Alpines come on the final corner. First Strikey to fifth, and then Vigo up to fifth. The two Alpines locking out the third row as it stands.
Yeah, not too bad for the Alpines to start off with. How often do you see that? With two drivers identical at the top of the standings, Nello and Iki Robbo, not too far behind with the 27.5s, looking like the banker time. They could get a couple of tenths shaved off with about half the time left in this session. They've got enough time for about 3 more runs, I reckon. So it should be, the time should be coming down pretty rapidly. Anton Chaboratov, the next driver to try to take this circuit. And where will he end up? That is not Anton Chaboratov, that is Ayhan Tanasi. Anton Chaboratov has invalidated on his lap, so he will not be improving. EVE retired. Not sure who that is. I will try to work it out so I can use his actual name, because I know that they like to have a bit of fun with the Steam names. He sits in 8th place currently. But yeah, they're coming in. They are preparing themselves for that second run.
Let's turn our attention to last week's race winner, Yonat Tennessee. To the end of the first sector we go, using his battery very nicely. He's still got over 70% to the end of the first sector. 31.673, as he then flicks it right 2 times throughout the 2 Degner corners. Flat out towards the hairpin we go now. The Yonat will put the wheel left, lock up, which doesn't really affect you on this game, depending on how hefty the lockup is, and then flat out using the battery partly towards Spoon Curve. He's got a lot more battery compared to other drivers. Now he will flick the wheel left through Spoon Curve, and then nicely on the power on the exit, take a wider berth on the exit to then get that to get the extra straight line speed down the back straight towards 130R. Can Yonat dispatch pole position? Can he take it away from Kevin Zunberg, who is currently sharing the fastest lap time as Runnard, but due to Kevin setting it first, he is on original pole. Out of the final chicane we go with Jonathan Hayes. Around the final corner, drain the back to the line. After the line we go. It's pole position provisionally by 0.499 of a second.
We are going to get a 26 as the pole position time, which would be, well, blasting out of the water. What we have at the moment, 27.5, but with the degradation, I wouldn't be surprised, and with the track breaking down, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Ayhan Tanasi, incredible lap time, 27.0 to go up into pole position by a huge margin. We've got Casper, and I believe Dylan Hummel have just started their second laps. We'll watch on with Casper, and we'll stay off board so I don't get ribbed for my onboard camera. Yeah, Casper, what sort of time will he set as he heads out of the first sector? We will see as he crosses the split time is improved by a quarter of a second. So the Mercedes having a pretty decent first sector. What can he do? He will get into the 29s or the 27s even if he is to continue along this trajectory. The second sector will beckon, and he needs to make sure that he keeps that traction on, because he's on for a good lap so far, as that was Anton Japotarov moving out of the way. Casper up the hill now. What can he do in the second sector? We will find out as he heads now out onto the back straight. And after that back straight, this is the one and only DRS zone of the main straight. But now Casper just down the straight, he will get 0.5 quicker. That is half a second, and that will slot him nicely into P8 if he continues there. Might even be P6 or P7, disrupting the Alpines right there on the third and the fourth row of the grid, respectively. Casper up to the line, and it's going to be a 27.8. So exactly the same final sector time as his previous lap, and 8th place is where he sits.
As you mentioned, Dylan Hummel was on another lap, but I think he had aborted his lap, and I think he might dart his way into the pit as his fuel light is flashing. He does indeed. Next up, we pull driver, or is he just slowing up to maybe help out his teammate with a bit of a tow? He will now let his teammate through, so Robbo is going to be completing his second lap, 500s up. The sector time said at the end of the middle sector, up to the line comes Robbo to set a 27.5. Going to the front row, still a hefty margin away. From pole position, the two Alpines come around the final corner to start lap. So does Nelu to start another lap, and so does Harstill in the Williams. He comes round to start another lap. The next man to be setting a lap, I believe, is Kevin Zunberg, who is a 10th and 3/4 of a 10th up on his lap, crossing the line to go P2 with a 27.2, and that gap towards pole is being cut down. It's now only 0.2 of a second.
Between first and the rest of the field, Icky Robbo, third place, 0.5 off, which is a considerable margin, all things considered. Runnard is not improving in the first sector. What can he do in the second is he picks up the slipstream from the Mercedes. I believe that was Casper in front of him. He can't improve, so we will switch away from Runnard. Nello needs to lock in this lap, and he is improving. Under a 10th, though, is what he's improving by. And we'll see where the sole Ferrari in this race, will end up. We've got 14 drivers here. The two Alpines are teammates. The two Mercedes are teammates. The two Aston Martins, as well as the two Red Bulls. That's all of the ones I can see for now. I don't know if I'm being blind, but yeah, I think that's all the ones I can see for now. Anyway, Nello improving by a 10th. He will head up to third place unless he gets this final sector wrong or very, very right, in which case he will be able to get past Kevin around the final corner for Nello as Vigo goes up into 5th, Strikey goes up into 3rd. Nello takes that 3rd place away from Strikey. A 27.4 is a pretty strong time, with everybody slotting in the 27.5s, or the majority of the grid at least, with Haas still down in 8th, 27.6. So these are very, very high expectations for all of these drivers. And, well, some of them are meeting at the moment, some of them still a little bit of time to find retired. Down in P10, he will not improve on his lap. And just having a look at Anton Chapotarov. Well, that's not Anton Chapotarov, that is Strikey. Just trying to switch to Anton Chapotarov, 3rd time lucky. Nope, it's not going to like it, so we're not going to switch to Anton. There we go, Anton Chapotarov. 1:13.7 through the first two sectors. Where will he stand? He's the only driver without a time at the moment. And the McLaren up to the line is going to come into the pits. And he's not going to improve or not improve on his lap time.
So we've got a quite exciting end awaiting us for qualifying. Today's is on a outlap approaching 130 yards to begin, which I can only guess will be his final lap, as he's just awaiting to let some cars behind through, which I can only guess is the Alpine of Strikey, who goes through, and who should let Nelly through. No, he's going to begin his lap now. So through the final chicane we go, as Jonathan Hayes to begin his final lap of qualifying. A little bit of a tank slapper on the exit as he actually decides to pit instead of going for another lap.
Final run. Wouldn't be surprised actually if they did, and that looks like I believe Haas still might be doing the same as he comes now around the final corner. He's 10 seconds down shortly. Yeah, he comes into the pits. Retired, has improved on his lap, but he's invalidated it, so he will come into the pits, and the Aston Martin will not be changing any of his laps any higher than a 28.0 at the moment. Yeah, so Iron still sitting pretty with just under 3 minutes left of the session.
It's going to be quite the bold way to predict for this race. You don't for this qualifying. You can't really guess who's going to take it. if Yonnet is going to go out for another lap, you can expect him to improve. And as I say that, he's the first car coming down through the exit of this pit lane here at Suzuka. Behind him, it should be, I believe, Anton. But no, there's a little bit of a race going on in the pits between, which I can only guess was Runners and one of the Alpines, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Runners is the only Haas car, so if it was him, then whatever. He's out of the pits now, so it doesn't matter too much. But, yeah, the final run. We've got 2 minutes 11 left on the clock, and these drivers, they're looking pretty good. And they're looking pretty ready to attack Ironat Tanasi. The top 9 in the 27s. Everybody else still outside. Rowley's prediction of a 26 for that pole position most likely will come true. With especially the fact that Ironat Tanasi now has demonstrated that he will be able, and drivers will be able. That's 26, or at least the 27-0 slot, if not the 26s. So, with the 1 minute 30 left on the qualifying timer, Retired will not be coming out of the pits, or at least with good time. He's going to make, it's going to be very tight with him coming out of the pits now, but the final runs will begin now. It is now or never for a lot of these drivers to see whether they will be able to qualify. I reckon the target will be at least the front row, but Tanasi and Zunneberg with a 0.0 and a 0.2, they're high expectations.
So right now we can begin the shootout for pole position. It's like one-shot qualifying now as we begin the final runs. It's do or die in the end of qualifying, and it's Jon Tanasi to take us away for our final run of qualifying. This is when drivers will begin to risk it a bit more with the curbs, to begin to flick the car a bit more, and begin to test the car and the setup's capability with how much mechanical grip can the setup offer, and how early can you get on the power. It looks very tidy through the first sector, and it's already a tenth of a bit up as we go into the two Degner corners, flat out for the first Degner and the second Degner. So it's a little bit of a break, but then you can easily flick it in towards the hairpin we go with Yonnet. Lock up there, but again, as I mentioned earlier, it doesn't affect at all, even though he used part of his battery towards Spoon Curve, and he will see if he can improve. Has retired from this qualifying session. Through Spoon Curve we go with the Aston Martin driver. Jon Tanasi will now power his way down the back straight towards 130R in the final chicane, using a lot of that overtake button. It's 2 tenths up. He's definitely without a doubt going to be into the 126s. Jon Tanasi will come up to the final chicane now, flick it slightly right, a little bit of a correction mid corner. Now flat around the final corner up to the line. Yonnet will go, improving his time. Lost time in the final section was a 26.9. Runnard toes onto the front row. What about Anton in the McLaren? Crosses the line. He goes onto the front row. What about Kevin Zundberg? He's invalidated his lap. Next up will be Vigo in the Alpine. A tenth and a bit up. He crosses the line and he goes only P5. Next up will be Robbo in the Red Bull. Currently down on his lap. Crosses the line. Robbo improves time, not position. Nelu not improving at all. He will be only P6. Next up will be Harstil in the Williams, a tenth and a half up as he enters the final chicane. Chucks the car through the chicane. Massive tank slapper on the exit. Up to the line we go as Harstil. Does he improve his time? No, he doesn't. Next up will be the two Mercedes, Casper and John. Casper crosses the line, improves time, not position. Next up will be John in the Mercedes. He will improve his time to only P11. Next up's Paul Diver, crosses the line, improves time, not position. And then finally, Dylan Hummel invalidated that time. That is an end to qualifying. And for the second week running, Jon Tanasi is on pole position by quite the margin.
What a lap that was. I mean, he was the only one to actually beat his original time, although Anton, I think, got quite close. Coming out of nowhere in the end to get to 27.0. So an impressive lap time from both of those drivers. And we will head to lights out very, very soon. Just a quick break before we do, just so I can fix a few things. See you. Don't go away.
Some people might have read it up now, I'm not sure.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. And we are back for the race start. And in just a way for X2's race around the Suzuka International Circuit. Take it away.
5 lights gone, 5 lights on. And it's 5 lights out, and we go foot to the floor, and we go racing here at Suzuka. Yonat today seems to have got a good start, but Anton Chibrotov has got a great start into turn 1. Anton leads ahead of Yonat. Yonat and Ronnie going wheel to wheel through the first 2 turns. The pole sitter has dropped down 2 places. Anton leads from Ronnie, then Yonat. Kevin Zunberg is in 4th, Nelu, and then there's a lot of scores behind us. There's Williams, who has just spun off in the back. Casper was ghosted. There's a Mercedes, I believe, that has gone off as well. Casper has also gone off as long as Harstill. Casper in the gravel at the back of the field. And it's a catastrophe start for Harstill and Casper. But as we make our way through the 2 Degners, the McLaren and Haas have got a phenomenal start.
Yeah, very, very good start for Anton Chibotarov and Runnard as well, as now we head through the first hairpin. I haven't actually been able to fix that mouse, so apologies for that. But Anton Chibotarov and Runnard getting the launch over Ionut Tanasi, Harstill and Casper not having the best of the times, and they've dropped now down out of the DRS range of the rest of the field, so it's going to be an upward battle for both of them now. But yeah, top 4 odd. Have the pace so far. Ionut Tanasi 6/10 though behind Runnard in 2nd place, so not looking as though it's going to be very promising so far from Ionut, but I'm sure he's going to be able to get back into it with the pace that he showed in qualifying. There is a move from Pool Diver on Ultimate John. Ultimate John able to get back. Chibotarov fastest lap of the race with a 32.0, and you can see there he is on the medium compound of tyre. That is Dylan Hummel and Farrier is here, side by side. Farrier is here joining halfway through the session. Dylan Hummel able to get past into P12, so not a bad start for the Red Bull either. I will just open up the menu so we can have a look at some of the tyres that we will be using for this race. Chibotarov is on those mediums, which is why he got that good start ahead of Tanasi. Runnard also on those hards. So that's Contact in the foreground. Retired and Iki Robo coming together. They dropped down the field, and it just looked as though Retired just missed his braking point, went into the back of the car in front of him. Not what either of them would have wanted, but now they sit 13th and 14th. Farrier is here, and Dylan Hummel going at it once again for that P10 spot. Dylan seems to have got the position. Farrier is going to tuck in, is he? Or is he going to be able to pull back out? No, he's just going to tuck back in, and that's absolutely fine. Chibotarov, by the way, trying to build that gap as much as he can at the front. It's up to 7/10.
It'll be very crucial if Anton needs to break that 1 second gap, because rather than Yonat, they've opted for the hard tyres, as does Vigo in the Alpine. So the difference between the tyres on the race start in Suzuka, the grip is unbelievably different. You saw yesterday in X3, Dylan, who started hard, he dropped back by like 3 seconds in the first 5 laps. But as DRS has been enabled, that's going to be some free lap time for the likes of Runner Yonat. The thing that I think Yonat would be frustrated about, he's lost out to a man who's on the same strategy as him. Runnard, who is also on the hard, was able to jump beyond it on the race start. Runnard had a great start. We see Casper and Retired swapping places again. Casper now ahead of Retired once more. But to make our way towards the end of Sector 1, the gap is up to 8/10 between Anton and Runnard. Can Runnard keep up with the McLaren, or the McLaren continue to keep eking out the gap? The gap's up to 9/10. It's almost up to a second. It is now over a second as we enter the heart of Sector 2. Towards the hairpin we go now, trying to properly push that Haas car to keep within the DRS. But he's now go on the power down the straight towards 130. It's not really a straight, it's more of a curved, flat out straight. But if we make our way towards Spoon Curve with Runnard in the Haas, he should keep DRS if Anton doesn't drain his whole back pack. The gap's actually down to 5/10. I think Anton might have made a mid-corner mistake there. But now down towards 130 yard. The gap's now 4/10. We could see potential attack by Runnard into turn 1, flat through 130 yard towards the final chicane. Without a doubt, he's got the DRS. The gap's 3/10 as we enter the braking zone. A lot more curb taken by the Haas driver. Now as we stand on the power, a bit of oversteer from the Haas, and now that should leave no attack happen into turn 1.
Yeah, Runnard is surely going to get closer here. Yeah, 3/10 back, just dipping under 2 as Paul Diver makes another move. He's on the softs at the moment, and he gets past Vigo. He's out of the DRS of Ultimate John, but he's going to try and get back into the newly promoted man's DRS as they head out of Sector 2. Ultimate John, who dominated the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix in X4, he was able to leapfrog X3 as well, then just climb up to this tier where he is currently sitting in the points. So not a bad race for Ultimate John, to be fair to him. Just looking now at Ianut, he's closer than ever to the back of Runnard, so he could be making this move very soon. He was just a 10th and some change back behind the Haas car in second place. And so some point he will be looking to make that move. He feels as though he's faster, and it's demonstrated by the fact that he was pretty much pushing Runnard through that hairpin, but that did mean that he didn't get the exit that he would have so desired, pulling to the outside line now alongside the Haas car, and he makes that move up ahead. Without that DRS, that was just a pure, clean racing move, and Runnard has lost the out to Ironut. Rowley going in saying Runnard runs negative wings, and that straight line speed that Ironut had seems to back up that claim. Looking further down, Farriers here gets past Harstill, so does EVE Retired, as they are actually side by side as they head down the main straight. And just the straight line speed for Harstill is enough for him to hold on to that one. Kevin almost going into the back of Runner, just staying behind, almost opening up an opportunity. But these top 4, these top 5, if you include Nelu 4/10 back, they're very, very tight.
I think you missed it, but Jonna has actually taken the lead of the race. He used a bit more battery than Anton. Anton struggling to have that battery pack recharged. He was flashing down the main straight, and Jonna just used a bit more battery and DRS and did slipstream. And if you ain't got any battery and your opponent had battery, slipstream and DRS, it's going to be an easy overtake. Also, I was watching the last lap. Retired and Casper went wheel to wheel through the Essence, and Retired did spin round Casper. So I think Casper will be going to the stewards after that race. But more importantly, our pole sitter has overtaken Runnard, and Anton was in the space of a couple corners as they make our way down the back straight on 130 yard for the 5th time in this race. Runnard will be thinking those mediums are going to start to go off. I want to make sure I'm ahead of Anton. And Anton, who was leading this race early in the early stages, may seem to start falling away as we make our way through the chicane. A little bit of a wide moment for Anton. On board with the Haas now. We go down the main straight for the 6th time in this race. Anton again, you can see he's flashing on none. And Runnard, I think he's just going to decide to sit behind instead. As we go into turn 1 once again, the top 4 are as you were. Sorry, the top 7 were as you were. As Vigo and Paul Diver swap places again. Vigo up into 8th ahead of Paul Diver, whose soft tyres, without a doubt, will be fading away. As Casper into the pit lane, our first retiree of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, interesting retirement there because he was still in the points. Obviously, the top 15 get points here in X2. But yeah, Casper retiring, choosing that he is not going to be getting anywhere near what he would have wanted out of this race. So disappointing for him. Looking at that Paul Diver move, actually, he's really struggling now on those hards, on those softs even, against the hard runners. And now he's fighting Dylan Hummel. Dylan around the outside, Paul Diver to the inside, but Dylan has enough to sweep around the outside and up into that P9 spot now. So I think Paul Diver might be coming into the pits in the next couple of laps, especially if he has this much of a disadvantage. Farah getting past into P10. The Red Bull could be back with his teammate within the next few laps. So disappointing for him as the gambled strategy did not pay off. Nelu actually closer to Kevin than Kevin is to the cars ahead. So the top 5, top 6 now strikers caught up. Could be scrapping as they head to turn number 1. Anton Chabotarov, you mentioned that he's flashing. That might be because he's empty, but that might be because he's got a full ERS tank and he's ready to use it. And he might be using it to full effect here, getting past Ironut into turn number 1. And the lead switches back once again to the medium runner.
So yeah, you saw Anton down the main straight. He decided I don't want to sit behind him. The longer I sit behind, the more I'm going to give him a chance to pull away. So Anton wanted to control the pace of the top six, and now Runnard looking very close to the gearbox. Could we see a move into Degner 1? Yonat having to switch on the battery for a little second. Make our way towards the first Degner. Vigo and John going wheel to wheel now towards the Degner. We didn't see from the top six. 7th and 8th dueling into two Degners. Wheel to wheel as they go. Vigo on the inside. The Mercedes of John goes wide. That's going to allow Dylan and Farah and maybe Retired to go through. And yes, he does. John tried to hang it around the outside. Degner as Williams on the inside. Gives the Mercedes a light tap, and that could be a penalty after the race. As now Robbo is now back into the DRS of the train between 7th and now including him, P13. But now make our way down the back straight. Yonat managing his battery pack very well. And make our way towards 130R. I can suspect that we're going to see a repass into turn number 1. And you can just see the difference in being able to use in battery. Yonat well over 90% here. Anton, I think, struggling to even have above 30. A bit of a twitch there from Anton. And as we're making our way down the main straight once again, battery being used from Yonat. He's going to retake the lead. More of a question though, can Runnard go to the inside of the McLaren down the inside of turn number 1? The second and third going wheel to wheel through turn number 1. Is Anton going to keep his nose stuck in there? No, he won't. Runnard is up into second place and will try to hunt down Yonat A's as Anton goes from the lead to third within the space of 2 corners.
Not what he would have wanted. I think it's fair to say, for the Ukrainian driver, and he drops down to P3 with now Kevin Zunneberg looking very, very interested at the back of the McLaren. But the top two now, they're on the hard compounded tyre, which could be the tyre that they want to be on at this point in time, where just the mediums start to drop off. We saw how dramatically the softs had fallen off on that last lap. And Rowley coming in, predicting that there might be possible rain. We will see about that as Retired drops a lot of positions. We'll see why that is. Not 100% sure, actually, because I thought that would have been that he'd gone round. But no, he just dropped legitimately behind John Harstill and Robbo as well. And the Aston Martin drops down to P13. Paul Diver came into the pits on the last lap. He is on a hard set of tyres. And he is 20 seconds off of the pack. So, again, another driver where it's not been his day. Actually, Ironat has broken that DRS on the last lap to Runnard. We'll see if he did it across the detection point. It is the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. It is a 1 minute 30.3, which is not too bad on 8 lap old hards. And it looks like he has actually legitimately broken that DRS of Runnard. So a great opportunity for Ironat here to just try to break away, as Runnard will be feeling the pressure from those medium runners who are just trying to extend their stint as much as they can. You think the likes of Chabotarov, the likes of Zunneberg, Nello and Strikey, all of those are within DRS range and they could be ready to strike. We are going to continue on now. Lap 9, we're a third of the way through this Grand Prix, and you feel as though nothing is yet done and dusted.
It was a threat. Yonat, without a doubt, the fastest in this tier. He's broken the deal. A little bit of a mistake in the hairpin there. Went a little bit deeper than he would have liked. That's going to cost him a couple tenths on ExA. He's lost 2 tenths to the Hash drivers. Make our way towards Spoon Curve now. Yonat leads by 1.2 seconds. Then it's Runnard and Anton. Well, no, not the top 3 as you were. Yonat as you were. Runnard is ahead though, if I'm not wrong, of where he did qualify. Yeah, second and third have swapped around. Only 3 drivers are where they started. Yonat in first, Kevin in fourth, and Paul Diver, who is going for that alternate strategy of soft hards. And as you did mention, Rowley had said of the fact of some potential rain. So could that be why some drivers have opted for the hard tyre to try and just eke it out towards the rain period? And was that Anton into pit? It was Anton into the pit lane. Very early stop compared to others, as the other flags in sector 3, as that is the, I want to say Sauber, who at the moment, it is the Sauber at the moment, of Farah. He's at the moment. Now Anton into the pits. He has changed his tyre, and it is the hard compound tyre. How far will Paul Diver be in correlation to Anton? That will be a question to be answered soon. Paul Diver out of the final corners. Anton out of the pit lane. Anton will be very comfortably ahead of Paul Diver as there's yellow flags in Sector 1. I'm just trying to see if is retired in the Aston Martin. The Aston Martin are retired once again off in the gravel, and that is going to destroy his race. Rejoins the track, and he's going to be right in the path of Anton. Now this could be some trouble. This could hold Anton up for a bit, but we're going to switch away for a moment. Let's just see how second and third are doing. Kevin Zunberg want to make sure he can keep up, but Anton has now got ahead of retired in the two Degner corners. And now through swim curve we go. Jonnet just continuing to increase that advantage out in front.
Yeah, I mean, he's just going to continue up there because I know him as a very fast driver. I've commentated on him many a time, and Ayana Tanasi is a very, very quick man on his day, and today appears to be his day, but knowing the way that I've commentated on him, that has just cursed him, and he will be out of the race by lap 13, but we'll see how that goes. And we'll see whether that rings true as we head now onto lap 11 of this Grand Prix. We have more drivers into the pits. Nello and Strikey have taken the opportunity. And John has picked up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting while he's fighting away with Harstill and with Dylan Hummel as well. There's still fights going on as around the outside goes Harstill on Icky Robbo. Can he hold on to the position? Retired picks up a 10-second. Somebody else has well picked up a penalty, I believe. Retires from this race. And he is the second retirement in the pit lane, the first one being Kasper earlier on. Chipotarov makes his way past Nello into 10th place with the Ferrari having to come into the pits on the last lap. It's now a battle between the top three on track, Arnott Runnard and Kevin Zunberg, and not the bottom three, ignoring Paul Diver, Anton, Nello and Strikey. Are the hards to the mediums going to be the strategy, or is it going to be the mediums to the hards? The strategies are split. The only exception to that rule in this battle for the lead is Kevin Zunberg, who's able to stay in the DRS runner despite being on those mediums, so he could have the freshest set of tyres come at the end of the race.
As you said, I think he has literally just fallen out of the DRS as we enter the inflection point now. I think he just had to use some extra battery to get back within the DRS towards the final chicane. I thought I just saw someone of a moment there. My eyes must be deceiving me. But as we make our way around the final corner, Kevin Zunberg into the pit lane to change onto the hard tyres. He'll have the freshest tyres, but how much time would he have lost in comparison with Anton, Nello and Strikey, who will enter the pit lane now? And what can he do? Dylan is going to continue on as he's going around the outside onto the grass a bit. Dylan up into third, but still yet to pit. One of two medium runners who are yet to pit. Dylan and Haas still in the Williams.
Yeah, and as they come down the straight, it is Anton behind Kevin Zunberg, but sweeping around the outside, retaking that position. But Nello and Strikey will have to fight another day as the Kick Sauber is just sitting behind Anton Chibotarov. 10.7 seconds separates Anton still. And yeah, Chibotarov is going to try to close that gap ASAP, and he's already got 3/10 in that first sector, so it's not a bad start from the head on through sector 2. And these drivers, it is now or never. 4/10 is what they've gained in that last little segment, and it's impressive stuff. What they're able to do and what they've been able to pull off as Chibotarov already breaking that DRS of Kevin Zunberg as the Kick Sauber was just getting those tyres warmed up. He will just hope that he's warmed them up enough now as Chibotarov actually gaining a lot of time on Harstill. Now the gap is 9.1 and down the end of the straight it could be as low as about 8.7, which would be sensational stuff for Anton. And what an outlap Kevin has had to stay with him, as we could be seeing the fastest lap of the Grand Prix banged in here by Anton Chibotarov on those 2-lap old hard compounded tyre. I believe the fastest lap is already Iron Up Tanasi at 30.2, and actually it's not the fastest lap, but it is certainly the fastest on track at the moment. Harstill dives into the pits. He switched onto the hards, but he will not be in this battle for this lead, as now it is just a waiting game, waiting for Iron and Runner to come into the pits, and we'll see where they come out.
If there's rain on the way, do you reckon that Dylan could be trying to eke his tyres out? He's doing quite well to keep up with Vigo in the V-Cup. As I said, there's a little bit of a lock-up through the second Degner. So the top four, they could be trying to make it out to the rain if the rain does come. But the Dylan will be doing a great job to make sure he's got the freshest tyres of the lot. But I think the longer until he loses DRS from Vigo, the longer he'll stay out. If he doesn't have DRS, I think he will come into the pit lane. But the pack behind him, Anton, Kevin, Nello and Strikey, are gaining at an incredible rate and not, due to how much fresher the tyres will be. Yonah and Ronald, these will be their most critical laps of this race, and they will both just decide when does one or another pit. It's going to be very crucial, these laps, to make sure that they don't lose as much time as you would if you were making minor mistakes each lap. As we come around the final corner with Dylan still carries on. I'm going to guess he has got the DRS. He does not.
No, he's only 8/10 behind Vigo though, so he will get the DRS on the next lap if he so decides to stay out, which of course is not a guarantee with those mediums being stretched. And yeah, Rowley saying the rain will come. I'm sure if the rain does come, then that will throw this race all over to Einat, Tanasi and Arunad. I'm sure they're going to try and stretch this hard stint as long as possible, just in case they do get something like that happen, and then they will be flying away into the lead. Rowley coming in there. Compared to X3, it's night and day. Well, I mean, this is X2 we're talking about. So, and if you're excited about the action and the calculation and the quality of these drivers, well, X1 kicks off the season tomorrow around the Australian Grand Prix. So make sure to join us for that, and it will be both of us, most likely. It will definitely be one of us, if I can get my tech issues sorted out, that is. But Dylan staying in, 8/10 behind Vigo. He's actually catching on this lap, so I don't know if Vigo's made a couple of mistakes somewhere. Probably be a last lap shower, yeah. I don't think it's worth staying out then, especially not if you're Dylan Hummel, because you will be well within the puncher territory. But, you know, we'll have to wait and see. The strategies will be decided, and to be fair to him, he's done 15 laps on those mediums so far, and there's only 12 laps to go in this Grand Prix. So for the RB, this is pretty sensational stuff, because he's able to hold on to those tyres. That lock-up in turn one, though, will not help him. But the fact that he is 4/10 behind Vigo and he can pretty much use the DRS as his pacemaker, that will help him. Looking further back at Kevin Zannenberg, he looked as though he was trying to make a move on Anton into turn one. So these four could get a little bit racy.
The longer they stay out, the faster Yonah and Ronald and Vigo and Dylan will be in the latter stages of this race. Come what may. 5 laps already on those tyres for Anton. It seems only a couple minutes ago we saw Anton coming to the pits with those tyres. Already 5 pull typer though. His hard tyres, 8 laps old already, as he did opt for the soft tyres to start on. But I'm just amazed how well Dylan is doing to keep up with Vigo in the Alpine. And I like how the Alpine drivers have had some knowledge to split their strategies between one another. One who has gone medium hard and the other going hard medium. I think Dylan has almost lost DRS. If I'm going to guess, he's just got it back by 0.05 of a second. Towards the final chicane we go now. Surely those tyres will be on the brink of a puncture. You can see the tread coming up from the tyres as finally Dylan enters the pit lane. As look how close Kevin now is to the gearbox of Anton. We could see a proper on-track position. Now, down at the main straight we go. Kevin Zunberg, is he going to make the pass, or is he just going to sit behind? He's gaining in the slipstream. He's going to the inside line to take P4. Nelu wanted to make a move as well on the inside. Can the Scudero Ferrari overtake the McLaren? He's losing it, and the front wing damage for Nelu on the power early, and he has lost part of his front wing, and Nelu got throttle happy and has been spun round after trying to make a move on Anton Chibotarov, and that is the Ferrari's race absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, that is devastating stuff for Nello. He did so well to just stay there quietly with Kevin Zannenberg and Anton Chibotarov, and now he finds his race more or less over, or at least the battle for the lead of this one. So Nello, very, very disappointing stuff. And he will be devastated in the cockpit of that Ferrari. as he now drops down to 12th place. He will be down to 13th because he's going to have to come into the pit. Speaking of the pit, do Ironut, Runnard and Vigo pull the trigger? Ironut's going to be, well, Runnard's coming to the pits as well. Is Vigo going to come in? We will see. It could be everybody diving into the pits, all of the final gamblers, and indeed it is. So it is now or never for Ironut Tenacy. He's got those mediums strapped on. Where is Kevin Zunneberg in relation? He's just coming around the final corner. This is going to be close. It's going to be tight. Can Kevin Zunneberg make the undercut work? The answer is no. Ironut Tenacy holds on to the lead of this one. Runnard and Vigo coming out P5 and 6. So Zunneberg and so for these three, it's a gamble, not necessarily paid off.
Yep, so now I could only just see Yonnet running off into the distance here. 5 lap fresher tyres compared to Kevin's tyres. And he's already almost pulled a second already. Yonnet Tenacy has pulled the rabbit out of the hat to keep ahead. I didn't mention earlier, these are crucial laps. He has nailed every single lap of those laps where he did have the older tyres. Kevin will be desperately trying to keep within the DRS at all, and now Runnard has already got ahead of one car, 1 down, 3 to go for the race win. He's ahead of Strikey. He's now got to get Anton and Kevin and then try and find some natural pace to catch up to Yonnet, but I think Yonnet is going to check out of this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be very difficult if Runnard is going to catch Ironut. He's already broken that DRS almost to Kevin Zunneberg. He did down that straight, but Kevin managing to reel it in with that straight line speed. And Kevin actually picking up a 3-second penalty. That could cost his podium, and that promotes Anton, Runnard and Strikey to 2nd, 3rd and 4th respectively. At least at the moment he can get that penalty removed. But Kevin trying to push so hard to try and keep up with Ironut, and he drops actually out of the DRS down the main straight, but with that DRS aid, getting back into it. Chabotarov and Runnard very, very close together in P4 and P3. And it could be that Runnard makes this move very, very soon. We'll watch on board with Runnard, shall we? As he heads through. You can see that he knows he's so much quicker. And he's got to make that move ASAP if he wants any chance of winning this race. And he's got to make it as, well, disaster-free as possible. The pedal is to the metal for Runnard, and he's just going to sit behind Anton, trying to open up an opportunity. The grip opened up there, but not the opportunity for Runnard. He sits behind Anton Chabotarov, and he's going to close back in once again. The inside line will open up once again if he so desires it, but he's just going to sit behind the straight beckons now. Is he going to wait for that DRS, or is he going to try and take it on down the back straight? There was contact between himself and the McLaren as they headed out of the exit, and Runnard smartly decides to back out of it. He knows that he will get that DRS. Anton trying to back him slowly out of it, but to the inside now Runnard as he passes the DRS detection zone. He will get the DRS down the main straight. Anton Chabotarov is going to lose this position. Ironut with the fast lap of the Grand Prix, an insane 29.9 as they head down the straight now, and he's gained 2.1 seconds on Kevin Zunneberg. Runner could be going for a double move down the main straight, and indeed he does. That is a very, very smart move, and he made that look a hell of a lot easier than it actually is. He moves up to P2, and he's now got the chase on to try to catch up to Ironut.
The charge is on for the lead of this race. I just want to point out there is drivers who have not got fuel to make the end. Those 2 drivers, Ultimate John and Har Still. If you look with the telemetry on, you can just see the yellow fuel light, which will let them know that they have got to save fuel in this race. They can't keep pushing flat out. Otherwise, they're going to just keep losing more and more fuel, and then they're going to have a harder job later on to try and recover what was lost earlier in the race. As we see John almost rear-ending, and on the inside, Dylan Hummel with those very young hard tyres compared to the rest is up into 9th, and Dylan will be on a late charge on the hard to try and get those minimum points and see what he can do. And I think that was Vigo on the inside of Ultimate John. Ultimate John goes off the track. Vigo on the inside does get ahead of the Mercedes. It's now Vigo, Dylan 9th, Vigo 10th, Ultimate John losing out after that mistake at the hairpin. I think Anton has almost lost DRS as well. Kevin Zunberg on a bit of a push. I think Kevin has got DRS on Runnard. He got basically no battery left, but he has got the DRS. And can he keep within that second for the whole of Anton? Has dropped us out a second. I think Kevin will want to make sure he has got the DRS with Runnard, because he has got that 3-second penalty. He's already pulled 3 seconds to Strikey. Can he pull 3 seconds to Anton Shabotarov in the McLaren?
It is just a case of waiting. Now we've got 7 laps to go in this Grand Prix. He had broken the DRS to Anton down the main straight, but Anton clawed it back through the first sector. So it is now or never to maintain that podium. By the way, last lap, Ironut put in a 29.5. Runnard responded with a 29.3. Insane times from the top two. And now the gap somehow has extended even more. It's 3 seconds between Ironut and Runnard, which makes me think that that is game, set and match for the Aston Martin if he's able to keep it in a straight line. Runnard sitting in P2. Kevin now out of that DRS, and Anton 8/10 behind Kevin as well. So the McLaren will look to attack, or look to maybe just stabilise that P4, just stay within 3 seconds. This is where the strategy comes into it. Kevin Zunberg has that DRS, so does Anton, and they're both going to use it down the main straight to get back into a decent range of the car in front. Runnard 2.9 seconds behind Ironut. Tenacy, keep one eye on that gap, because I get the feeling, I get the sense that this race is not quite over yet. Maybe for the lead, but you never quite know. But always keep an eye out on that Runnard gap. 3 seconds to Ironut and 0.9 to Zunberg behind Icky Robbo and Paul Diver going side by side. Icky Robbo taking P6 away from the man who's surely got very worn hard compound tyres now. And they are sitting in 6th and 7th. Paul Diver could come under pressure from Harstill, who has a penalty, but he will still fight for it on track. Because obviously a penalty is not the be-all and end-all. They can be removed at the end of the day. And for Harstill, I'm sure he'll be hoping, he'll be trying to send all of these in if he gets a good result here. Sending it, speaking of, and he sends it too far on Paul Diver, trying to make that move, and Dylan Hummel squeezes his way through. But on the exit, Harstill comes back down the inside and makes that move. Maybe even on Paul Diver as well. Indeed he does. What a move there from Harstill. That is the move of the day, I would say. Just getting past Paul Diver and Dylan Hummel in the same stretch and making it look easy.
Good move from Harstill, but he's got to think strategically. Feel like still on for Harstill. He's got to start saving battery. He wouldn't want to be in the lead of the train. If he's in the lead of the train, it's round the outside. Goes Paul Diver. Try and fight this one back, you know. On the exit of the final proper corner. Now flat out. Dylan Hummel is going to maybe pick 2 corners. Two places in 1 corner. There's now Vigo on the medium tyre. He's using battery. Now they're going to go free wind to turn number 1. On the inside goes Vigo. Almost contact between the two. Dylan Hummel is going to try and hold this round the outside. Can Dylan keep the place? They go multiple through the S's as Dylan keeps the place ahead of Vigo.
Yeah, Dylan holding on to P7 at the moment. Icky Robbo trying to take the opportunity to try to build a gap. He's now 8/10 ahead of Dylan Hummel. And if he's able to hook this up before the next DRS zone, this will be great for him. There's yellow flags out. I believe that might be Nelu, where his day goes from bad to worse. And that's another drive around. Ultimate John trying to advertise himself today, and he's not put on his best showing, spinning round on lap 22 of this Grand Prix, and he has now dropped out of the DRS. But keep going, John. You're going to get points in your debut race here in X2. And to be fair, not been a bad performance considering he was 2 tiers lower just 2 days ago. So Ultimate John not doing too bad of a job. By the way, Runnard being incredibly quick over the last few laps. Built up a gap of 2.8 seconds to Kevin Zunberg. Built up, Ironut's gap that was built up, now being broken down brick by brick, 10th by 10th, as Chabotarov makes his way through Kevin Zonnebjerg with the DRS. It is now 2.2 seconds between Tenacity runners at the top of the standings, and the two drivers on the mediums are completely in a different race to the rest of the field now. Kevin Zonnebjerg just looking now to hold on to P4, you would think, and Anton Chabotarov maybe looking to try to break that gap down to runner. Those mediums won't last too much longer. There'll be a couple of laps at the end of the race as Ultimate John retires from the session. Oh dear. He forgets that it's top 15 scoring the points, and he will not be picking up any points today. But looking back at the top two, the gap is certainly coming down. And, well, for Runnard, this is a potential opportunity to take some points away from Ironut.
Yeah, I've been just keeping an eye on that gap. It's a lot. I think over the last few laps, it's gone down. He's gained 9/10, I think it was. I think at one point it was 3 seconds. Yonat, has he burnt his tyres too much, trying to pull the gap that is now allowed runner to rephrase himself back into the race? As it stands at the minute, Yonat will win. Runner second, Anton third. Kevin has pulled away massively from Strikey on those 12-lap-old hard tyres. But now, around the final corner we go. The gap down to 1.9. Runnard, we mentioned as he had got after he got ahead of Kevin. The charge is on for the Haas driver. He is really cementing a charge in these final 4 laps.
Yeah, a charge is well and truly on for the Haas driver. He's just found that extra pace, and that is what he was saving all of that DRS for, as it's now down to 2 seconds. I said keep one eye on it, and I've so far been proven right, but we will see as there's a move made into turn 1. Dylan Hummel takes the lead of this battle for P6 ahead of 8, just behind the 2, but he's got those mediums, so he will have the advantage, although at this point it could be the crossover period for the 2 different tyre compounds. Ironut could be saving fuel, says Rowley. I mean, yeah, I think that is what he could be doing, but Runnard has closed in a lot on the Aston Martin, so much so that you would think that Ironut might have been thinking about it just a little bit. I don't know, the strategies are coming to a head here, and, well, 1.7 seconds is the gap. If Ironut is indeed saving fuel, if that is the strategy he's going for, he won't want that gap to get any lower because he'll want that safety buffer between the 2 drivers, between Runnard and having DRS. And we'll see as we head on to now lap 25 of 27. It's a 2-horse race at the top, and Runnard at the moment seems to have the pace.
See there, Vigo's going for a move on Robbo. Was he looked very close through 130 yard, but you can stay tucked up behind, potentially get the better exit. Robbo on the 12-lap-old hard compound tyres. Vigo will now be foot to the floor using the battery. Vigo is going to go to the inside line. He's going to fight this all the way towards turns 1, 2 and 3. Will Vigo complete the move on the inside of the Red Bull? Vigo in the Alpine overtakes Robbo. It's the off switch rule on the exit from Robbo. Robbo was a sensational repass on the exit of turn number 1. Vigo starting to get a bit frustrated behind the Red Bull as we enter sector 1 for and enter sector 2 for the 25th time in this race. And Farah has opted to pit for a nose change, and I'm gonna guess is to go for the fastest lap of this race and just try and salvage some extra points in this X2 Japanese Grand Prix.
Yeah, send here from Haas. He could be getting past Vigo. What a move this would be if he's able to pull it off, but the traction on the exit for Vigo with those mediums will see him hold on side by side. Watch out, Iki Robbo ahead of them as well. He could be coming under threat, but it's still side by side between the 2 behind. That is Haas through on Vigo. And he is in P8 now. So the fighting down for these lower top 10 positions is pretty good, all things considered. But no DRS for Runnard. He's 1.7 seconds behind. The gap has stabilised, which does suggest that Ironut was indeed doing some extreme fuel saving at the end of that last stint. And at the end of the last couple of laps. And to be fair to him, he's been able to stabilise that gap. There's another move here. Haas still going for another position. He won't care about the penalty. He will just care about the fact that he is in P7 on track and are 1.2 seconds behind Dylan Hummel. He won't want that gap getting any bigger. but they are sitting just behind the DRS and just out of range, and this could be P6 sealed for Dylan Hummel now. Lap 26 of 27. We've got a lap and a half to go of this race, and Ironut Tanasi looks like he's going to take this by an absolute landslide. I know the gap between himself and Runnett isn't as much as he possibly would have liked, but I mean 1.6 seconds, 6.9 seconds further to Anton Chabotarov. That is a total of 8.5 seconds between first and third. That is pretty sensational stuff. 1.5 seconds, though, between Ironut and runners. So the Haas is giving all he can as they head on to this final lap of this Japanese Grand Prix. And the Aston Martin will head through now. The green car will take the white flag, which will symbolise the last lap that they will be racing, and Runnard 1.3 seconds behind. So Ironut, I think it's a bit of a combination of both a little bit of a nervy lock-up into turn number 1, and 1.1 seconds now separates the two. It could be DRS down the main straight for Runnard as there's a move for P3. Kevin Zonnberg makes his way through as well, and they are fighting side by side on the exit. Zonnberg making contact, trying to squeeze Anton to an unideal line, and it seems to have worked, and the Kick Sauber makes his way up. Vigo making his way past Icky Robbo as well, but they're still side by side as well behind Haas still. This was a great opportunity for the Williams to try and break away, but he is unable to as Vigo makes his way past. Those mediums still have a little bit of life left in them. 1.1 seconds looking back up at the top two between Ironut and Runnard. It's now or never for Runnard. If he's got anything left, he's going to be using it now, and he's within a second. So he will have a small slipstream effect as they head down the back straight and then down to the main straight. There's yellow flags out, as I believe that is Kevin Zonnberg who's had issues. It is indeed. That is terrible because he's lost half a front wing, and the man who was fighting for a podium on that final lap is now going to be fighting for maybe even P7. Those in 7th, 8th and 9th will have woken up because Kevin, with no front wing, has a 3-second time penalty. Runnard 5/10 behind Ironut, but Ironut will hold on to this one, and it looks as though the Romanian will take home the victory here in Japan. Runners oh so close. One more lap would have been a great fight, but Ironut Tanasi holds on to it. Anton Chabotarov would take P3. Kevin Zonnberg fighting around that final braking zone with Strikey and Dylan Hummel to hold on to an on-track P4. And he's done well, to be fair to him, to fight away with that front wing damage. But penalties will demote him to P6. Now down to P7 and 8 as Paul Diver comes behind, just half a tenth behind in P9. But a very, very nervy end for a few of the drivers. Tanasi and Zonnberg, especially as Zonnberg retires after the session. But Tanasi holds on.
Quite entertaining into the race. I didn't expect the gap to come down that much. I think nerves maybe getting a bit too on it a bit at the end, but no matter what the gap is, close battles, same result. Jonat Tanasi has cemented his title challenge, but Ronald has let everyone know that he isn't here just to watch Jonat dominate. He's here to cement the charge, to put pressure on the Aston Martin driver.
Yes, I mean, Runnard was not embarrassed there, and the pace that he showed right at the end was something to admire as he came oh so close to pushing Ironut right to the finish. But victory in the end was taken by the Romanian, was taken by the Aston Martin, and he will take home the full points haul apart from the fastest lap, which went to Farah on that last lap. He was able to steal it away with those softs. But yes, the Romanian taking that P1 and P2 just taken by Runnard in the end. He was in P2, Anton Chabotarov in P3. This is the final positions as it stands. Strikey in P4, Dylan in P5 with Icky Robbo sitting in P6. Then it's Vigo, Paul Diver, Haarsteel and Nelu Safu in P10 with Farah and Kevin Zonnberg, who I believe will slot in P8 just ahead of Paul Diver, I think, despite that DNF. And then Ultimate John retired and Casper. The only 3 retirees from what was a very, very entertaining Japanese Grand Prix. Any final words, Rio, before we end this exciting stream?
Just say, make sure you tune in for the rest of the season, because you definitely don't want to miss out all the action that's about to happen.
Absolutely, I will fully back that. Do not miss out on any of the races on Tuesdays, and then on Wednesdays we have the big one, X1, which will be returning this week, and it will be returning with a bang around the Australian Grand Prix, so don't miss that. Also X4 races on Sundays and X3 races on Mondays, but make sure to join us tomorrow for the main event. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.